So, jealousy and envy. These are really, really dangerous emotions, and today we're going to talk about it because it's very important for you to understand when somebody is jealous of you and when they are envious of you. Today I'm going to be giving you a whole list. I did not expect to make this video today, but when it's time, it is time. Just like it's time for a lot of you to understand these things so that you can rid yourself of the toxicity that may be in your life. Serious topic, but still a beautiful day. We are going to smile along the way, okay? We're going to be encouraged, okay? So my name is Charisse. Welcome to my channel, Gracefully Charisse. Today I'm going to be sharing with you 24 signs that someone is jealous or envious of you. So jealousy and envy, they are similar, but there are also some differences. I would say that jealousy is more competitive, and I would say that envy is more covetous. Jealousy and envy can both be very bad, and sometimes it can be very evil, very dangerous, and even life-threatening. Trust me, I personally know. And I'm going to be sharing some of my own experiences, just a little bit, and things that I've witnessed and have experienced over the years. First of all, I want to start by saying I am not an arrogant person. I have a humble confidence about myself, but I'm not an arrogant person. I do believe in keeping it real. I don't think I'm better than anyone else. Everyone's beautiful in their own way. Jealousy and envy is not just about physical appearances. It can be, but it can also be about your gifts, your talents, even your spiritual gifts, attention, things you have, people you have. It can be about so much your life. So I just wanted to make that clear. I'm not someone who's sitting up here bragging. I believe in keeping it real, and I do believe that it is so important to understand when somebody feels a certain type of way about you so that you can understand why it is that people are treating you certain ways, and also understand why it is that some people need to be removed from your lives, why you need to let go of some certain people. Self-awareness and awareness of those around you, they're both very important. None of our experiences are in vain. Someone always needs your story, my story. So let's get started. In no particular order. Sign number one that someone is jealous or envious of you is when they copy you or when they are fascinated by you. Now, sometimes this can just be innocent and admiration, and that is the absolute truth. But this is one of those things where you have to kind of explore more, quietly kind of sit back and examine things to see if there's something more there. I personally had someone in my life, they copied a lot of what I did. They copied my hairstyles, they copied how I dressed, and sometimes it would get a little overwhelming because it was always, and I'll get to this sign later, but it was always a competition from their end. And I'm not a competitive person. Like, I think we're all beautiful in our own way. We all have a purpose here, and there's really no reason to compete with anybody in this life. That friendship definitely did end, and it was a jealous, envious thing. One of actually the last thing that happened between us is they were comparing themselves to me, and we were really close, and that friendship just ended just like that. And I'll just leave it at that. I've seen this, and I try not to be too specific, but I had different friend groups growing up, and I did see it where a friend would get fascinated with another friend, and they would say stuff like, "Oh, she's so pretty," that I hate her kind of thing. But then they were like really fascinated with them, fascinated with their life, fascinated how they dressed, and with the attention that they got. All I will say, that friendship did not last because it wasn't authentic. It was more of a fascination. Sometimes people, when they are jealous and envious, sometimes they want to look like you, they want to be like you, and sometimes they will try to steal parts of your personality. Though even I've seen this happen where they've even tried to date the same guys that you date. You know, I guess for them it makes them feel like, well, if they got that attention from that guy, and you know, if I get that same attention, then maybe I'm just as pretty. I do want to say that jealousy and envy, at the root of that is always insecurity. So just know that people that are jealous and envious are functioning from a place of insecurity, pain, and hurt. If somebody is copying you, doing things that you do, going places that you go, dressing like you, acting like you, talking like you, it is something that you should definitely pay attention to. Number two sign that somebody is jealous or envious of you is fake excitement for you. Now, people who are insecure and they take their insecurities out on you, they don't always like to see good things happening for you. Now, granted, I know sometimes when a person is going through a hard time and they see that their friends and family are being blessed, or they're enjoying their lives and celebrating, it is natural to feel a little sad. It is natural to feel a little down. But somebody who can really be a friend to you is still going to be happy for you. I'm not saying that they cannot have their feelings, but they are still going to be happy for you, okay? But when you see the fake excitement, don't ignore that. You know, I've seen that personally, where it's like, hey, this is going on for me, and not in any bragging way. I'm not a braggadocious person, but it's like, oh, yay, like, you know, kind of that like response, or like, yeah, you know, that's really good. Then they don't even support. They just, you can see it all over their face, but they're not really happy for you. But something that you will notice is sometimes these very same people seem to be happier when things are going good for them. They don't mind if things are going good for you as well, okay? And two, they seem to be happier when you were going through a hard time. Then it's kind of like, oh, I want to be there for you, da 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 da. It's just that sometimes people find it easier to be friends with you when you were going through, versus when you are having a good time in life, when good things are happening for you. And those are the type of people that you don't want in your life. They're toxic, and I'm just going to come straight out and say that. People who are really your friends and loving family members are going to be happy for you, and they're going to want to celebrate you when good things happen. They're not going to prefer you sad, down, miserable, depressed, and, you know, in a moment of like failure. They're not going to be happy in those moments. They're going to really want the best for you. Number 3 sign that someone might be jealous or envious of you. Actually, this is not a might. It just is what it is. When somebody does not like other people to compliment you. This is a huge red flag. If somebody's complimenting you and your friend or family member is sitting over there or standing over there giving dirty looks, rolling their eyes, and it's kind of like the Marsha, you know, kind of situation, they're jealous, they're envious, and you don't want that kind of person in your circle. You need a hype man or a hype woman in your life. They're rooting for you. They want the best for you, like I said earlier. Like with me, if I have someone in my life, I will compliment them behind their backs. You should always have somebody in your life who does that. I personally have someone in my life that's like that. They don't like when other people compliment me on my figure. So if somebody says something like, you know, you have a nice figure or whatever, they make it all about themselves. They actually will interrupt the whole moment. They actually do that. And they will say, I've had more than one person in my family do this to me, but this person has done this to me several times. And they'll stop the whole complimenting moment, and they'll say, well, I used to be skinny too. In fact, I was skinnier. And then they'll go on, and then they'll find this weird, they will make that moment into a moment of victimhood, and they will blame somebody else for you know, how they currently look. And it honestly is up to them, kindly said. But if you have somebody that does that, then they're not your real friend, and there's somebody that you probably shouldn't have in your life. I'm just gonna be honest, because somebody who's miserable about a compliment for you is not somebody who's really in your corner. Hey, number 4, I'm sorry, different attire. When I first started filming, it was early and I was tired and I forgot to film this one, and I have jeans on. So number 4 sign that someone is jealous or envious of you is if they sadly compliment you. Now, they might sadly compliment you, or they might silently admire you, but with the sadness about them. Now, granted, sometimes this happens when somebody just is insecure in general. Not necessarily to where they'll like take it out on you. And insecurities, feeling a bit down, feeling a bit insecure from time to time, you know, it's normal. But if you have someone who they compliment you, and it's like, for instance, you might say, hey, you know, how does this dress look? You know, do these shoes match? Do I look okay? You know, there's an important event coming up, or maybe just going somewhere, hanging out, and they might look at you and say, yeah, you look nice. You know, and it's just like kind of sad, or maybe they can lift their eyebrows, maybe not look at you. They act like complimenting you is something unfortunate for them. You know, a compliment for you triggers some type of insecurity and sadness within them. Now, another thing they might do is you might compliment them and congratulate them and be happy for them all the time, but they may not even compliment you at all. They may not celebrate you or congratulate you at all. And if they do, it is with sadness, or you can tell that it's very inauthentic and they're not truly happy for you. Now, it's not about needing validation or needing an applause or, a pat on the back from people in order to feel good about yourself. It's not about that. It's just that in a friendship, you should be rooting each other on. You should be happy for each other. Even if you are feeling a little insecure, you don't take it out on the other person. Even if you are feeling a little bit sad about your life and you see your friend is like being blessed and they're celebrating and happy, you still be happy for them. You can feel sad, but don't take it out on that person. If you really care about somebody, love someone, then, you kind of have to, I'm not saying don't feel your feelings. It's just you still have to kind of, love is a selfless emotion, and it is selfless in action, not selfish, selfless. So sometimes you do have to, you can feel your feelings, but you kind of have to put them aside for a moment just to say congratulations, and in order to even be happy for them, and if your friend can't do that for you, then that's a red flag that, your friendship might be in trouble or it's already toxic. Now, regarding that silent, sad admiration, you might be like maybe in a relationship, or you might be in a capping out or something, and your friend or family member, whoever it is that is jealous or envious of you, they might be looking at you from afar just with this really sad look on their face, and you might say, "Are you okay?" "Yeah, I'm fine," but in that moment they're wishing they had what you had. And sometimes, and again, this can be normal, but sometimes it is toxic when they allow this to come in between your friendship, when they allow those feelings to come in between your friendship. Again, your friend or your family member who is supposed to love you, they're going to be happy for you. Even if they feel a little sad, they are still going to be happy for you, and they're not going to allow your happiness to be a misfortune for them. You see how that even sounds? That's toxic. So it is a red flag. And by the way, I haven't had like a whole bunch of toxic friends and family throughout my life. Some of these experiences are with the same old friends and family. I have a lot of relatives, but very little family. I don't use that word lightly anymore, but for the sake of the video, I will say family. Sign number 5, someone might be jealous or envious of you, is joy-snatching. This one can kind of mess with you, especially if you're a child. If you have someone in your life that whenever they see you happy, whenever they see you excited and rejoicing and laughing, singing, dancing, having a good time with your life, every time they see this, they try to snatch your joy. They make fun of you. They bully you about whatever it is that you're excited about. They might interrupt your moment. I have somebody that in my family who does that, and I had to confront them about that. Purposely interrupting when I sing, and they admitted it one time. If you're excited about something that you accomplish, they will either talk down about it, or they will just try to find some way to just literally suck the happiness out of you. And sometimes when you have people like that, this is sad to say, but sometimes you catch yourself, we're being real here, you catch yourself not wanting to express happy emotions around them. But never let anybody snatch your joy. Never let anybody cause you to dim your light. You go ahead and be happy. You go ahead and be excited. I'm not saying being arrogant or, in your face about good things that happen to you, but you are allowed to be happy about happy moments. You are allowed to celebrate in celebratory moments. Celebrate, be happy. And if they want to be miserable, let them be miserable, but don't let them dim your light or steal your joy from you. Number 6 sign somebody might be jealous or envious of you is when that person supports other people, but they won't support you. Okay? You might find yourself you have a friend or family member that's supposed to be your friend. They're supposed to be a loving family member. However, when you do things, nothing bad, can be something like the purest thing, they simply will not support you. Sometimes you have to ask them to support you. You have to ask them to be there for you for encouragement. But it's really, really easy for them to root other people on. Social media, for example, they may not repost your things, your business ventures, your products, but they will repost other people's, even people that they don't even know, celebrities that they don't know, people that they will never meet a day in their life, but they will not support you. They may support their other friends, their other family members, other people in their hometown, but they specifically just won't support you. They may compliment you, but they won't support you. And the thing is with that, sometimes those are fake compliments. Sometimes people are just really fake, really inauthentic, and they'll act like, oh yeah, what you did was nice, da, 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 da. So it can look like they're supportive, but it's all in the action and lack thereof, if you know what I mean. So be very careful. Like, people like this sometimes, and somebody said this and it stuck with me, okay? It was a pastor. He said that sometimes people will not compliment you because they feel like it takes something away from them. And it's the same thing there, like when people won't support you, but you know, they'll support other people. It's because they don't want to be a part of your elevation. Why would they want you to elevate? Why would they want you in their minds? Okay, I'm not saying you're saying this or that I'm saying this, but in their minds, why would they want you to go further in life than them? Why would they want to help you get further in life than them? Why would they want to help you to accomplish your goals? And they know that supporting you in any way, whether it be verbally, morally, emotionally, physically, they know that that's going to help you, or they feel that that's going to help you. They're not going to give you that. Okay, so you have to really, really like dig deep and really explore people's mindsets and why they could be doing a thing. You know, I've had this personally happen in my life, and you know, I had to learn. I had to have a thick skin. I had to learn that, you know what, not everybody's going to support me. That's okay. And that's where being confident comes in, being confident in who you are and the gifts that you were given, that God has given you, your talents, your skills, being a hard worker and being proud of that. All that comes in handy, because when you are confident, you don't need other people patting you on the back. You don't need their applause. You don't need their validation. God validates you and you validate you. So just remember that. If somebody's not supporting you, that's fine. Let me tell you something right now. You will get more support from strangers, people you've never met a day in your life, than you will from people that you grew up with in your hometown, your friends and your family. And you know what? Be appreciative. Don't even focus on the people who you thought would support you but are not. Don't focus on them. Because the people that are supporting you, they deserve the attention. They deserve your thanks. They deserve your appreciation. Let the other people go. And a lot of the times later on, when you start getting more acknowledgement, media coverage, whatever it may be, then they're going to come around and then they're going to say, you know, I knew that person, we're friends, we're family. Don't be mean to them. Continue to have a good heart and a loving heart, but just be wise and recognize when somebody is real and when they're not real, a real friend or a real loving family member. And always forgive. But forgiveness does not require you to have a relationship with that person. Number 7 sign that someone might be jealous or envious of you is when they make fun of something you enjoy. Your passion, something that makes you happy. They don't want to see you. This goes back to the, you know, one of the other signs, but I just want to be more specific here. Sometimes I had someone in my life, pretty verbally abusive, narcissistic, when I love words. I'm a writer, I'm a poet, I'm an author, and I love adding more words to my vocabulary. I like to, humbly said, see myself as an intelligent person. And when I would use big words, and you know, they're just a part of my vocabulary, this person would like kind of give me the look like, then they would say, trying to use big words. And it was always belittling and condescending, and it just didn't feel good. And there are people like that who will do that to you, where they will make fun of you for being who you are, being yourself. If you enjoy art, they'll make fun of you for that. If you enjoy photography, or you know, like, who do you think you are? You think you're this and you think you're that. Maybe you love to sing, you know, and they'll make fun of your voice. I've had my voice made fun of really badly, and I don't think I have a bad voice. I do have a couple albums that I produced, and a lot of people like them, humbly said, and I'm very grateful for that. All glory to God. But there were people who have expressed jealousy and envy in other ways, who have been very, very mean to me for absolutely no reason, and I had done absolutely nothing to them. You know, I had one of them, I was on the phone with somebody in my family, and they snatched the phone, and because they knew I was on it, and they just started going in on me. And they were like making fun of my singing voice and everything. And they were also a part of the same crowd when I was a child who tried to jump me for absolutely no reason. So I already knew, and I had either always been nice to this person, or I just didn't talk to them before. I just never held like a actual conversation, just kind, hi, bye, you know, or it's just we're in our own worlds. So for this person to do that, when people do that, you just have to understand hurt people, okay? And again, it comes from a place of insecurity, which gives birth to jealousy and envy. So sometimes people will do that when they feel like you have something that they wish they had, or maybe they're jealous of you for some other reason, or envious of you for some other reason, and they just want to bring you down in general because they don't like to see you enjoying yourself. Miserable people want to see you miserable too, period. Number 8 sign that someone might be envious of you or jealous of you is when they express inferiority or anger regarding something that they admire about you. This one's very interesting. So it's kind of like that thing, physical appearance. They may feel down about their physical appearance. So if they see you and they think that in their minds you are better looking than them, then they are going to say, oh, you think you're better, you think you're cute, you're not that cute anyways. Like if you went to college or you graduated, oh, you think you're better than us. Oh, we're little people now, huh? They really admire these things about you, and for some of them, they feel that they can't achieve that same thing. I had someone say about me, she looks like a man anyways. I look like my daddy, but I don't look like a man. I'm a very feminine version of my dad, okay? I remember when I was a child, I was in elementary school, and I've been singing ever since it was possible for me to talk. And I was singing on the playground, and I had one of my cousins angrily look at me. And when I say angrily, I mean angry, just brows down and mad, and then she's like, show off. And I hadn't done a thing to her. The thing is, again, people, they don't like to see you expressing your talents and your gifts and just being who you are when they feel insecure about their own lives, about their own selves, and when they feel like they're not talented, or maybe in their minds, you know, or if they feel like they don't have gifts, you know, they will treat you that way. And when people do that, they are jealous or they're envious. And to this day, years later, the same person just isn't very fond of me. And we've had our minor ups and downs, but I've come to accept that, you know, we are just relatives. We're not family, and I do forgive that person. But another thing to note there is that sometimes those negative feelings toward you can carry on for years. And that's why it's important to recognize these people now and as soon as possible, because sometimes it doesn't go away. So even if you try to extend an olive branch, and I've done that before, and they act like things are okay, and then they turn around and I find out that they were talking about me again, sometimes it's best just to move forward, just forgive them and love them from a distance, and whether they're friends or family, and just move on with your life, because sometimes people's feelings about you are just not going to change no matter how kind you try to be to them. So it's best to just move forward and love. Something that I can say is, growing up, for whatever reason, my hair was always a thing for certain people in my family. So I got comments like, she thinks she's white. Oh, you used the white girl brush. You got a perm, huh? She has a perm, huh? And stuff like that. Sometimes your family can be the worst. Family can be toxic too. They honestly can. And from the age of 15 until 20, 15 to 20, I went to a hair salon, and the hairstylist did my hair very nicely, like she did everybody's. She pressed it and curled it. Don't like relaxers or perms, don't get those. It was just a press and curl. So, you know, when you go to the salon and your hair is freshly done and it's shiny and bouncy and flowy, they would compliment my hair, but like some of them would, and at the same time they would talk about me. And that's how I know that it's just jealousy. Instead of behaving jealously or enviously, you can simply just ask the person, hey, where do you get your hair done, or where do you shop, who does your makeup, where did you attend college, whatever it is that you're jealous about or envious about, just ask. Instead of wasting time hating on people, you can actually just be helped by them. Put your pride aside, put your emotions aside, and actually ask for help. You'll be surprised how many people are actually willing to give you advice and help if you just kindly ask. Oh, number 9. Okay. The 9th sign that someone might be jealous or envious of you is when they try to one-up you. Okay. This happens a lot in the teenage years. Oh, the teenage years. I had someone who would try to one-up me all the time. If they knew I wanted something, they would try to get it first. Or if they knew that I couldn't get something, they would run out and hurry up and get it, and then they would brag. I had this person get their driver's license before me, and they knew that I always looked out my window. So they purposely, and this was not their route, they started driving down my alley so that I can see them in a car with their license driving before me. And it was ridiculous, and it actually started to become a little comical. But having someone in your life who was always trying to one-up you, like on a serious note, it can get frustrating. It's just toxic, and it's exhausting sometimes. And it's just like, why? We all have purpose here. Why can't we both be great? Why can't we just root for each other? When somebody's jealous of you and they're envious of you, they want to prove to you, because they feel inferior in comparison to you. They are comparing themselves to you, okay? Just understand that. They want to prove to you, in their mind, that they're just as good as you, if not better than you. And life is not about that. But for them, their life is about that. And no one I'm just saying, why, kindly said, waste time having someone in your life that is always trying to compete with you, always trying to one-up you, always trying to get something before you, or get something that they know you can't have, basically to make you feel bad. Why do you want someone in your life who is actually trying to make you feel bad? Not that it would work. Whether it works or not is not even the point. But the fact that someone is trying to hurt you, or they're trying to make you feel just as little as they do, that's toxic, and they're not a friend or a loving family member. Number 10 sign that someone might be jealous or envious of you is when they talk down about your business or school ventures. What I mean by that is, if somebody sees that you are doing a great job, they might try to say the opposite, or, anybody can do that, or, it's not that big a deal, or if you're actually, and I've had this happen to me, if you actually didn't get the result that you wanted. Me personally, I was selling something and it didn't get as many sales as I wanted it to get. They'll focus on that. And this person was just like, how many sales did you get? You need to write this down. And they kept going on and on and on about it. And for me personally, it wasn't something that hurt. I was just grateful, because I was new at, so it was when I first started authoring, I was new at this, and I was grateful for anybody who purchased my very first products. They were calendars. And I personally knew that they didn't get as much sales because I was sick when I was trying to really get things done, and I released them late. And when you're going to sell calendars, you need to do that early. But yeah, this person was really focused on that, and it was like this fake concern, but I knew that they were enjoying that I didn't get as many sales. Another example is when you're going to college and somebody says, college isn't for everyone, or that doesn't mean that you're going to do better in life and stuff like that. So if somebody's in your life and they are talking down about your business ventures, your schooling, your goals, then they are toxic, and chances are they are jealous and envious of you. Please understand, when you aren't doing as well in school or in a business venture, if somebody's your real friend or just a truly loving family member, they're going to encourage you. And if they can, they will do what they can when they can to actually help you. They will uplift you, inspire you, motivate you. They're not going to keep rubbing in how bad you're doing and, getting satisfaction out of that. Anybody who gets satisfaction out of what they perceive to be your failures, because it's not a failure. You learn from every experience, okay? And you keep going. But anybody who is getting satisfaction out of what they perceive to be a failure, you really don't need them in your life. They don't want the best for you. No matter how much they say it any other time, never ignore the times that they have put you down and actually purposely try to bring you down instead of lifting you up, instead of uplifting you in a moment where you're feeling discouraged about your goals, about your future, about your business, about about your schooling. Never ignore those moments. Sometimes we tend to ignore those moments because of the other quote-unquote good things somebody has said, like other times. Don't ignore those things. Sometimes people try to make up for their toxicity, their narcissism, their verbal abuse by trying to encourage you and falsely encourage you, and by trying to falsely compliment you so that you can stick around, and so that you won't go off and tell other people that they're a bad person. This is huge and notorious with narcissists, so remember those things. Okay, number 11. This one's kind of different. When they are jealous or envious of your other friendships, and when they are glad your other friendships don't work out. Now, this is typically a person who is a possessive friend. This can get pretty dangerous, and sometimes these friends actually try to isolate you, and they try to turn you against other people. They try to triangulate you against other people so that they can have you all to themselves. These people usually have abandonment issues or just narcissistic issues and control issues, and they just want you for them. So when they see that you've got another friend, they get jealous, they get mad. Oh, so you don't like me anymore. I've seen this in one of my friend groups. Sometimes this happens when you're in a friend group. Sometimes you just bond better with like one of those friends. You're closer, you have just a sisterhood, and it's not so much like I like this person better, and it might be, I'm not judging, but it's not a thing where you're seeing the other ones in any kind of condescending way or belittling way. You just bond close with a certain friend, and sometimes they'll get jealous of that. So I had someone be like, they tried to pull the other friends into it, verbally at least, and they're just like, you like her better than us, huh? And they probably said it behind my back too, or behind our backs, and you like her better. That's okay, you like her better, because that person liked to kind of try to make up your mind for you. So you have to be like, no, let me think for myself. I can think for myself. And I would correct it, but they still had their mind made up. We just really loved each other like sisters, and there's nothing wrong with that. Sometimes that will happen in friend groups. And the only reason why we're not like that now is because life happened, but I still have love for her, and I know she still has love for me. But please be careful of jealous friends, because what they will they will turn you and your other friends against each other just so that they can have either them or you all to themselves. So you don't want friends like that. Now, briefly, when they see another friendship doesn't work out, especially if it's a new friendship that you're forming, and they get happy about that, you can always tell. You can see, even when they're trying to hold back, you can always tell. But pay attention to that as well, because you could see there's a smirk on their face, or it's kind of like they're excited to see what happened, like what they do, why, da-da-da-da. And then when that person I've had this happen, that's why I'm talking about this. When that person that things didn't work out with tries to come back around, they'll be like, why? What do they want? Why do they want to be a friend? Stuff like that. They will even try to convince you as to why you should not become friends with that person again. The thing is, they don't really care about what's going on in your friendship. They just care that you're not friends with somebody else in general. It could have been anybody. They don't care whether or not this person has hurt you, or if this person is, if it was a misunderstanding, this person genuinely wants to be friends with you or wants to have a relationship with you or a family bond with you. They just really want you for themselves. Period. It's simple. Be careful with that, because that person sometimes they just really don't want you to have anybody but them. Again, this is another sign of narcissism. They want you all to themselves because you are their narcissistic supply, which is why you need to get away from them, because narcissists will make your life miserable, and they will have you ended up lonely. If you don't recognize it, the next thing you know, you're going to be lonely. You're not going to have any friends. You're not going to have any family, because the thing is they get you to trust them, and they depend on your trust and love, your trust in them and your love for them, to be manipulative. And because when you trust and you love someone in a special way, you believe them when they say things right, you give them the benefit of the doubt, and you think to yourself, they mean well, they don't mean it in any bad way or anything. No matter who they are, if you notice that they're being toxic, call them out on it and make some moves, especially if they're narcissistic. When somebody's narcissistic, you just honestly need to not have them in your life. Number 12 sign that someone is jealous or envious of you. And this one is a bit tough to talk about, but it's important, and this is very specific to people who are narcissistic. So number 12 is when somebody purposely tries to create codependency between you two. The thing is, people who do this, they try to make you dependent on them financially, emotionally. There'll be an enmeshment type of a relationship. They'll manipulatively convince you that you need them in some type of way. So sometimes you don't realize this has happened until years down the line, and you find yourself struggling somewhere in your life, whether it be career-wise, financially, socially. These people do this on purpose because they don't want you, in their minds, to succeed beyond what they have succeeded in life. They don't want you to go further than them. They don't want to see you happy. They don't want you to be more successful than they ever were. Sometimes they do have abandonment issues, and they don't want you to leave them. So if you notice that somebody is trying to make you codependent, run. Just run. This often happens in families and in relationships, romantic relationships. And it's hard to notice at the beginning because these people typically, they wear a narcissistic mask. Okay, that means they have a fake persona or multiple fake personas. And they're usually loving, holy, nothing against holiness, I'm a Christian, but they will use Christianity or or a religion to mask their evil. They will be philanthropists. They will have some type of, or work in healthcare, just anything that makes them look good. Or they'll just be very charismatic and loving and funny, and so you don't recognize it at first. And then, as they draw you in, they begin to manipulate. And again, this usually happens in families. And I've had somebody that is an elder in my family do this to me ever since childhood. And it is very heartbreaking when you really realize what that person was doing. When you realize the sabotaging, the manipulation, them trying to make sure that you don't get ahead in life, them destroying opportunities for you. There's just a lot that goes into that. And so when you understand what's happening, do your best to break free. Because when you break free, you will truly, look, the truth hurts, but it will truly set you free. And you will start doing better in life, and you will start succeeding, and you will become so much happier. And when you understand that you don't need that person the way they tried to make you feel you needed them, then you will fly. So I'm just urging you to break free of anybody who's trying to make you codependent on them, and from anybody who is a narcissist. If you don't know what a narcissist is, please look it up. Number 13 sign that someone might be jealous or envious of you is when somebody gets satisfaction out of your pain or inconveniences. Now, I'll just provide examples. I had somebody in my life since childhood who would do this. And later on in life, they did express that they felt that I was favored over them. So that is clearly jealousy, envy. And what they would do is kind of sadistic. Like, they would do mean things to me, and I'll just leave it at that, and they would laugh. Anything that they thought would hurt me or humiliate me, they would find satisfaction out of it. Either they blatantly, like laughing, making fun, pointing, laughing, or you could just see the smile and the satisfaction on their face. Anybody who gets satisfaction out of your pain, or out of your inconveniences, really feels something really negative and deeply negative about you. And they probably have hatred toward you, definitely have jealousy and or envy toward you. And you don't want anybody like that in your life, because trust me, it is not a happy experience. It's really hurtful, especially when it's somebody that you really care about, and it's somebody that's in your family. And for me, it is somebody who's in my family. Sometimes they'll disguise it as a joke. Oh, I'm just joking. No, no one should ever just constantly get satisfaction whenever you're hurt or whenever they hurt you in some type of way. So just please recognize this, and it doesn't matter who they are. They can be your sibling, they can be your best friend, they can be your boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, or wife. This is a very, very toxic and even a dangerous behavior. And sometimes it is sadistic, because sometimes people do get satisfaction out of physically hurting you. Number 14 sign someone might be jealous or envious of you is when they let you embarrass yourself. Okay. So this is something that I went through and I didn't even know that I went through. Now, we all have our bad makeup moments, especially back in the 90s. I had someone who would always tell me, oh, how nice my eyebrows look. Now, you know, most of us did not have nice eyebrows, okay? Later on in life, I was just saying, why did you let me, you know, they were around me all the time. Like, why'd you let me walk around like that? Because I didn't know any better. Like, I didn't know any better. And they laughed and they're like, well, you thought it was cute. Let me be specific. This is the same person that doesn't like when other people compliment me. So that just tells you everything you need to know. But sometimes people will let you embarrass yourself when they know that, you know, kindly said that things can be improved. Because look, a real friend or a real loving family member or anybody who's keeping it real with you, they're going to tell you in a kind and loving way, because they're rooting for you, when something can be improved. Because none of us are perfect and we all need to improve and grow in some way. You know, they'll say, you know what, maybe you need to practice this riff when you're singing, or, you know, maybe you should find a different wording for this sentence right here, you know, in your poetry or in your writing or something. People are, when they want to keep it real with you, when they really care about you and love you, they will tell you the truth. Some people are shy. You know, there are exceptions to the rule. Some people are shy and you just need to talk to them and say, hey, you can keep it real with me. I'd rather you tell me the truth and possibly hurt my feelings than for me to go out there looking any kind of way, you know. But there are some people who actually want you to look any kind of way, you know. Examine their other actions and how they behave and how they treat you versus how they treat other people, because all these things will help you determine whether or not these people are really just, you know, afraid to hurt your feelings, or when they're getting satisfaction out of your humiliation. Number 15 sign that someone might be jealous or envious of you is when someone is always looking for your flaws. Okay, no one is perfect. I'm not perfect. You're not perfect. None of us are perfect. But sometimes there are people who are always looking for something wrong with you. And when they do that, it is because they themselves are insecure. And they have put you on a pedestal that you didn't even ask to be put on, okay? And they feel, because they are comparing themselves to you, they feel inferior next to you. When they compare themselves to you, they feel in their minds that you are better than them. So they're going to try to look for something wrong with you to make themselves feel better about themselves, about their own flaws or their own sins or whatever it is. They do this because it gives them this temporary feeling of satisfaction, like, ha, she or he's not perfect after all. This makes them feel good. And this is a huge, this is not even just a red flag. This is not even just a burgundy flag. It's a big black flag. It's the darkest red, darkest shade of red you can find, that somebody is insecure when they're always trying to find something wrong with you. They're always looking at you and like, you know, the whole, she's not all that thing. Yes. You know, when they feel like that, like, that's just one of the biggest signs that they're jealous of you. I had someone do that. You know, I'll get to the whole comparison thing later, but I had someone who would always compare themselves to me. And this was one of my best friends. And things were already up and down. I started to notice the toxicity, not to say I was Miss Perfect, but it was one of those times where it's like, you know what, this friendship is not a real friendship and it's just time to like go our separate ways. So we were kind of, it was kind of like that awkward space when it's right before the friendship's gonna like break apart. And so this person, they let their insecurities and their feelings toward me get the best of them. So they went snooping through someone's phone to see what me and that person were talking about. They were trying to find something on me. And they found a conversation that was only half of a conversation. And the rest of the conversation was continued on the phone. They didn't hear like everything that was talked about. Somebody that I was texting with was saying something bad about somebody. I wanted to verbally talk to them and correct them and tell them it was wrong, and that's what happened. They didn't see that. They wanted something to be so wrong with me. And long story short, they tried to set me up and that plan backfired. They tried to like almost put me on a jury before certain leaders, and I'll leave it at that. And that whole plan backfired because the truth was spoken and it wasn't what she wanted it to be. So yeah, sometimes people, they will try to find something wrong with you because they feel so jealous and envious of you, and they get tired of, they even get tired of hearing other people, and this was their case as well. They get tired of hearing other people say nice things about you, so they have to put an end to it. So in their minds. So again, watch out for people like that. Number 16 sign that someone might be jealous or envious of you is when they are always comparing themselves to you. So let's just start with, what we were talking about. That old best friend of mine, and they admitted to doing this. Every time they started dating a new guy, they would always ask, like, do you think Sharice is pretty? Do you think Sharice is pretty? She would always ask all of them that. And we were younger, so I thought maybe it was just some odd way of complimenting me. But in hindsight, I realized it's because she was insecure. And eventually I did find that with one of the people that she really ended up getting serious with, she really felt threatened by, them finding me attractive. But they also found me attractive as a person. And because of that, in short, long story short, they turned against me, and they conducted a full smear campaign and turned people in their lives against me as well. Dirty looks and everything. Which, by the way, if people around your friend or family member are giving you dirty looks and being standoffish and unkind all of a sudden, you can guarantee that your so-called friend or loving family member has been talking about you and gossiping about you and trying to make you look bad in front of them. I'm just saying. So more examples of this, people always comparing themselves to you. Sometimes you get people who don't want to hang out with you. They'll hang around with everybody else but you. And these people typically have already expressed them feeling like you're prettier than them, or maybe you have more in life than them, or they feel like you're better than them in some type of way. So they're comparing themselves to you. They don't want to be seen in public with you. They don't want to be seen in pictures with you. They might compare your lives and say, oh, you have everything, da 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 da. Or, you have a better relationship with your mother or with your father than I do. And sometimes, again, like some of these situations, it's just pain from their own personal lives. So don't just automatically dismiss them. Maybe just talk to them and encourage them. But if you discover that it's just really jealousy and envy, and it's actually really getting in the way of you guys actually enjoying each other's company, and them always blowing you off, them not wanting to hang out with you, but you see them hanging out with everybody else, them not wanting to take pictures with you or being seen in pictures with you, but you see them in pictures with everybody else, that is a frustrating friendship to be in. It just really is. And I'm not going to tell you be friends or don't be friends with them, because you know your friends and your family members better than I do. But it is something that I will say to you right now. It does affect your friendship. It does affect your bond, and whether or not you're willing to have that in your friendship or in your family bond, that is up to you. But it is something that I would say to look out for, and to pay attention to everything else that's happening. It's not fair. Basically, it's them taking their insecurities out on you, and it's unfair, and it's just not healthy to have in any type of a relationship. Number 17 sign that somebody might be jealous or envious of you is when they always ask other people their opinion about you. So that's kind of related to like what my old best friend did. Like, do you think Sharice is pretty? Asking every guy that she dated that. But sometimes people will go around and ask, so what do you think about so-and-so's hair today? Or what do you think about how she dresses? Da, 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 da. And it's usually followed with, I didn't think it was all that, or I didn't think da, 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 da. Some type of a gossip. So somebody is always asking other people their opinion about you. It's because they are feeling insecure next to you, and they want to see if other people will talk you down so that they can feel lifted up. I know that sounds weird, but again, it's kind of like a secondhand way. Like, how like we discussed earlier, some people will try to bring you down so that they can feel better about themselves, they can feel lifted up. It's a secondhand way of getting that same feeling. If they hear somebody else say something negative about you, it makes them feel good inside. And it's so toxic, but it happens. So when you know for sure that somebody is doing these things, always asking other people about how you look, about your life, your talents, your gifts, your relationships, whatever it is, your opportunities, I honestly would steer clear. You don't want somebody who's always talking about you behind your back anyways. And the thing is they're trying to find someone to say something bad about you, possibly trying to find someone to gossip with about you, and you just don't need that type of toxicity in your life. I know I don't. Number 18 sign that someone is jealous or envious of you. I'm saying is because it just is what it is sabotage. When someone tries to sabotage any parts of your life, your physical appearance, when they try to sabotage your opportunities, they try to sabotage your relationships, they are definitely jealous or envious of you, or both. Anybody who wants to destroy any parts of you or your world is absolutely toxic and even evil. It's just plain and simple. I had somebody in my life who's in my family who was older than me who didn't get to do the things that they wanted to do in life, and they definitely sabotaged some things for me in my life. But I'm a true believer that God still has a plan for me, and he's not going to let them just take from me like that. And I can see good things unfolding from my life. I believe that some things happen just for testimony purposes. Nothing is in vain. And that's why I'm able to stand here and warn you guys. When you see somebody who is trying to talk you out of things and trying to make good things seem bad, like, you don't have to go to college, or you don't have to do this or do that. Or when you find out that they've been saying things and doing things behind your back in order to ruin certain relationships that you have, or doing things to ruin certain opportunities and business ventures, and ruin your freedom and different stuff like that, relationships of any kind, you need to get away from people like that. Don't give them a pass just because they're family. Don't give them a pass just because they're your parents. Don't give them a pass just because you love them in some special way. They're your best friend or whomever it is. You don't give people like that a pass. Sometimes we are deceived by our hearts, and you have to learn how to let go of people that are purposely trying to destroy you in some type of way. A lot of people, when they go through things themselves, they end up taking it out on you. That is a reason, but is never an excuse. And I will repeat, that may be the reason, but it's never, ever, ever an excuse to sabotage you in your life, or to hurt you, or to abuse you in any way. So it's very important that no matter who it is, even if it's your own father, your own mother, your own brother, your own sister, that you recognize it as toxic and even abusive, and you free yourself as soon as possible, as safely as possible, and as quickly as possible, and as purely as possible. And the last thing about sabotage, this happens amongst teens, junior high, high school, even in your early 20s. When somebody is jealous of you or they're envious of you, and it has to do with who you are, your character. If you're someone who likes to be moral, and someone who is deemed as innocent in your friend group, sometimes they will sabotage situations for you by trying to corrupt you. There have been people who have said to me, like, you're so innocent, I want to corrupt you. And it wasn't for the same reasons, but I'm just sharing that to say that there are people who purposely want to corrupt you. And there are certain friends who try to do that on purpose because they're tired of people seeing you in a positive light. They're tired of seeing people and hearing people talk highly of you. So what they want to do is they want to transform you. I've seen this in a friend group as well, where there was somebody in the friend group who would always try to transform, the girls that were considered the good girls, and they would try to make them dress certain ways where they were very uncomfortable, and they would try to get them to do things regarding boys, that they were very uncomfortable with. Again, it's just another example how there are certain people who will do things to try to corrupt you. Maybe in their minds, they're not a good person, and they see that, they feel that you are. And in order for them to feel better about themselves, or just whatever, give themselves some type of satisfaction, they will try to corrupt you and make you as bad as they are, to them. So that's, pay attention to that. If you're a youngster out there and you have people that are trying to get you to do bad things, try to get you to get in trouble, try to get you to talk to boys, and you're not allowed to have a boyfriend and stuff like that, just please recognize that this person, especially if they're deemed as a troublemaker, they're probably jealous of you, and they're probably envious of you and your personality, your goodness, and the good things people say about you. And it'll make them feel good if they can bring you down to their level in their minds. So be very watchful for that, okay? From Big Sister Cherise, Auntie Cherise. Number 19 sign that somebody might be jealous or envious of you is when they purposely don't help you. Okay, let's talk about teenage drama. Okay, for you girls out there. Here's just a hypothetical scenario, something that I know happens though. Say you're on a cheerleading squad, right? And there's a cheerleader who gets all the compliments, all the accolades, all the attention, and they see your potential and they hear other people talking about how good you're getting. You need help with your high jumps, and maybe you want to ask them for help. If they see you as competition, if they see you as a threat to the attention that they're getting, or maybe even to their position in their minds, they may just find excuses not to help you, or they may straight up say, no, I'm not going to help you. They may be mean. And because they know that if they help you, that means that you are going to improve on your high jumps, and in their minds, they feel like you're going to be just as good as them, if not better than them. And if they're feeling competitive and insecure, they might feel that you might even be a threat to their position in the cheerleading squad. So that's just an example. There's, people, if they feel like helping you is going to be an inconvenience for them, they're not going to help you. And that is just a trait of a jealous or an envious person. And I personally know how it feels for somebody who said, this has happened to me more than once, and again in my family, they would say that they care and they love me, and I'm there for them, but after they claimed that they would be there for me as well, they just decided that they're just not going to help me just like that. And does it feel good? No. But you know what? Situations like that just makes me lean on God more, and it just makes me stronger. There are some people that they claim that they love you, they're your friends, your family, and they see that you need some type of help, and they see that they can help you and you're not doing anything impure, anything wrong, and they have the means to help you, and they choose to not help you. Sometimes some people will purposely not help you if it means that you're going to get ahead in life. They don't want to be part of that, and we kind of discussed that earlier. But just to be more specific, if they feel that maybe they didn't get the job, their dream job, and you're close to getting your dream job, and you just need a little help, and they're the one person that can actually put in a good word for you, they're not going to do it because they don't want you to get your dream job because they didn't. And they even help other people, but they just don't want to help you. And they've also exhibited like maybe competitive signs, like they are in competition with you. Then chances are they're not helping you because they feel competitive toward you, and they don't want you to get ahead. They don't want you to beat them in life or in some area of life. Honestly, friends and family, we help each other. If it doesn't compromise our beliefs, and if we are able to, if it doesn't go against our morals, then there should be no problem with just assisting somebody or giving somebody just basic information to help them if they're having a hard time finding information, and just stuff like that, or just coming to their event and just rooting for them, or just being of moral support. So I hope that makes sense. Number 20 sign somebody might be jealous or envious of you is attention stealing. Now, if you have someone in your life who, whenever they see the attention is on you, they try to steal the attention, or they try to take that as an opportunity to embarrass you or humiliate you. Either they're a bully and they do this even with other people, which is still not excusable, or they are jealous or envious of you. The thing is I've known people like that. They will find a way to, if you are going to have the attention on you, it's not going to be good. So they'll make fun of you in front of people, especially if it's people that they want that attention from. They're going to make fun of you. They're going to put you on the spot, ask you embarrassing questions, stuff like that. So if you have somebody who always tries to steal the attention, or if you're for instance, say you're singing and everybody's admiring your voice, then they try to sing, they try to show off their chops, and and it's in a competitive way. You don't want a friend like that. Chances are they are jealous or envious of you and the attention that you get. Number 21 sign that someone is jealous or envious of you is the evil stare, examining you and staring at you creepily, just dazed out. So let's break this down. somebody who's jealous or envious of you, they may give you this evil look. And sometimes it's this look of, you know, everyone has different beliefs. But as a Christian, I do believe in evil beings. I do believe in demon possession. Sometimes they will look possessed. Even psychologists will say that there is a such thing as a narcissistic stare, the evil look, the evil stare. And sometimes people's eyes will, you know, be black. These people you want to be very, very, very careful about. You don't want to be friends with them. You don't want to be in close connection with them. When somebody gives you the evil look, when they look at you like they want to kill you, like they want to harm you, it is very dangerous to have these types of people in your life. They're warning you with their eyes. And I've had this look given to me by 2 different people in my family, and they did end up hurting me in different ways. One physically, the other one verbally, but I was betrayed by both of them. Okay, so be very careful when somebody looks at you evil, like they want to hurt you, and even like they want to kill you. Now, let's lighten things up. There's the stare. It's just, I can't imitate it. I think it's one of those things like you'll recognize it when you see it, but they'll kind of be like dazed out, looking at you, and you can tell there's thoughts ticking through their mind. And I had somebody do that to me as well, and they were looking at my body. And later on that day, they did call me, and they basically started comparing our bodies. So they did behave in a way to where like they made it clear that they felt insecure around me. I don't think it's just about me, okay? I think they just feel insecure about themselves in general. And if there's just some people, they don't want to be around people that they consider attractive if they are feeling insecure. And it was one of those things, and yeah, we're not friends. So lastly, the examining. The examining comes, you know, right before statements like this. Now you think you all that, huh? She thinks she's cute. Guys are a little different, you know. They may just, you know, look at you up and down and, you know, give you the look and say, look, he thinks he's all cool. He didn't forget about us little people now that he got to college and stuff like that. So, yeah, it's the examining. Personally, I did have this happen to me where I had seen this girl for the first time in like person. We did have mutual, like we knew other people mutually, and she was new in town. So I thought, let me befriend her, and it was on social media. And I'll get to that part in a moment. But when she seen me for the first time, and you know, I was dressed up, and we both were dressed up. It was like this celebratory thing. And they looked at me, down, up. And then I had my bangs like swooped. And then they did this, flicked my bangs, you know, kind of moved it to the side. And they're just like, it wasn't so much like of a hard flick. It was more just like, you know, she's like, I see you got an Aaliyah thing going on. And she just was examining me. Now, what happened before that? What happened was she had told me that she had a crush on somebody. And so I had happened to run into that person. Nothing happened. And I was just like, oh, I can't wait to tell her I seen him. So I'm like, you know how it is with those women. Like, hey, I seen your crush. And then she typed back to me. She's like, oh, yeah. And then she was like, he was flirting with you, huh? And he was typing, you know. And I told her, no, he was not flirting with me at all. I bet she was flirting with you. And she kept saying, he was flirting with you, huh? And I was like, oh, no, can't do this. So that already let me know how she was feeling. And again, it wouldn't have been just me. I think she's just insecure in general. And it would have been any woman that she would have felt like threatened by. And so yeah, that's just an example of sometimes they're sizing you up to see, like, you know, if they think somebody is interested in you, whether it be physical appearance or business or whatever, they want to see in their minds what's so good about you. Why, you know, why do people compliment you? Why do people want to work with you? You know, stuff like that. It's not always about physical appearances. Number 22 sign that someone might be jealous of you or envious of you is when something good about you or something they perceive to be good about you bothers them. Now, I'm going to give you a couple examples here. The same person who used to compete with me all the time, and sometimes I still try, this person really, really, really admired my hair, how it looks when it's flat ironed. And they really liked it, but at the same time, it really bothered them. So I remember one time we were just hanging out, and suddenly, this was the most awkward thing that anybody has ever done, but suddenly I hear this, like this loud yelling, and I feel like a bunch of mess going on in my hair. And when I looked back, they were doing this, like they were winding my hair in their hand, like they were about to pull it. And I just looked at them, and they just kind of got embarrassed, and they kind of chuckled and just kind of looked down. And it was just the most awkward moment. They also tried to go to the same hair salon and everything. So again, with them, our friendship ended just in a jealous, envious moment. I feel weird saying that, but it's just the truth. Another example of this, and I've seen this in friend groups as well, where there is like one person that just gets a lot of attention, they're popular, and you have another friend who they admire them, but at the same time they can't stand it. You know, it goes back to that, oh, she's so pretty, and oh, all the boys like her. Instead of just simply admiring that person and saying, oh, she's beautiful, and you know, a lot of people like her, she's cool, you know, there's that anger that comes along with it. Nobody should be angry about any parts of how God made you. They shouldn't be angry about your talents. They shouldn't be angry about your intelligence. They should not be angry about your physical appearance or how you dress, do your hair, or your life. They should not be angry. If somebody is angry about just, you know, any of that or anything like that, they're not your friend, or they're not the family member that you should be hanging out with. But I mean, it's weird, but it does happen. Number 23 sign that someone might be jealous or envious of you is when they easily rage at you or get angry at you. Well, anybody who has that much anger toward you, that much rage toward you, and you haven't given them, like you truly, I'm not even talking about by perception, but you truly have not given them any reasons to feel that anger and rage toward you, chances are, I mean, there's other issues as well within themselves, probably unhealed trauma and just anger issues, but chances are they've chosen you because they see something in you that they feel that they don't have, and it makes them angry, it makes them jealous, it makes them envious, and those things give birth to that anger and that rage. I know this because I personally know somebody like this, and this is the same person that doesn't like when people compliment me, who's tried to sabotage things for me. It's rage, it's anger, and it can be kind of scary when somebody's like that toward you. You know, anybody that feels that way toward you, there's a deeper issue. Like, you can't fix that. Like, you don't want to try to fix that because it can be very dangerous, which leads me to my next point. Number 24, it's not even a sign, but it's an action. Sign that someone is jealous or envious of you is if they physically attack you or assault you in some kind of way. Now, let's talk about stuff that, you know, you hear in the news, things that you hear growing up. Somebody who's jealous or envious of you, say if it's your hair, they will put gum in your hair. They'll cut pieces of your hair off. You know, there was a story that was, you know, it was big in the media of someone's own friend throwing acid in her face because she was pretty, and just, it's acid, so you know what that did to her face, but she's still beautiful, and I really do mean that. There's another situation that I seen that was talked about in the media where somebody seen some girl that she didn't even know, and she was mad, and you know, because she was pretty, so she ran up to her and she sliced her. If I can remember correctly, I think it was in the neck. So people out there, they will really, really do some evil, mean-spirited things, and we can go there. There's people who will try to do witchcraft and stuff on you as well. So if, you know, some people will bully you physically, and I really can't get too far into this, but just imagine going to sleep one day and waking up almost bald. Your hair is like an inch, some parts less than an inch, like 90-something% of your hair. that happened to me. But God grew my hair back longer than it was before it was removed. And same person who doesn't like for me to be complimented. So I personally know how dangerous jealousy and envy can be. And there was another situation with other people in my family. One person didn't like the attention that I was getting. And so they didn't directly physically attack me, but it affected me physically. There's a smear campaign. It was just a huge situation that I don't even want to talk about right now. But the emotional distress that it caused me, because I was diagnosed with ulcerative colitis, which is an autoimmune condition, when I was 23. And emotional distress, especially like if it's something that I'm not prepared for, the type of betrayal that I went through, that this person put me through, it caused an emotional distress like that I never knew I could even feel. And because of that, my immune system attacked me really badly. Disease spread almost a foot into my colon. I wouldn't stop internally bleeding. My immune system attacked my face, my skin, my neck, some parts of like the top part of my arm, and the top parts of my arms, and the top part of my back. And I had bumps and sores, and just it looked like a really bad version of acne, but it wasn't. It was just my immune system attacking me. And I had hyperpigmentation, and I'm almost healed from that. It's something that it's taken a few years to like really physically heal from. I lost almost all of my body fat, and I literally, like, it took prayer. And there's the beauty in that. I experienced a miracle. I prayed, and the spread part of the disease disappeared like it never happened. And I gained my weight back, and I'm almost back to normal. I don't wear foundation or powder, so you can see I have concealer spots like here and there, but I just look like a different person. And that's because this person admitted that they resented me over attention that I got. So there you have it. People can purposely physically attack you, or they can affect you physically, because how we feel emotionally and mentally can definitely have an impact on what happens to us physically. And it's not just because I have autoimmunity. It can affect anyone. That's how some diseases are actually developed, because of toxic people being in our lives and the distress that they cause. Sometimes anxiety happens and panic attacks. Those things come about because of the toxicity we have in our lives, which is why it's so important to recognize toxic people in our lives and rid ourselves of them in the most pure, quickest, fastest way that we can. So that's why this is not my ministry channel, but this is something that God placed on me to do. And I'm just being really open, as open as I can be right now, to try to prevent somebody else from going through some of what I went through, or if you've already gone through it, to encourage you, to uplift you, and encourage you, if you haven't done so already, to, move forward from these toxic people, even if their family doesn't matter. You only have one life, and it's time for you to be happy. Before I conclude this video, I do want to say this really quick. Some things are workable. There's certain things that you can just simply talk to your friend about. Say if they are feeling sad while you're celebrating, you can lift them up and encourage them. And the thing is, if somebody corrects the behavior, or, they say, you know what, I was a little jealous, I apologize, and they're sincere and they show that they're sincere, then some friends or, connections with family members, certain things can be worked out and you can move forward, because none of us are perfect, right? But if you see a pattern, or if somebody fails to even acknowledge the wrongs, or if they refuse to change for the better, they refuse to do what needs to be done, like getting rid of their toxic behavior in order for you guys to remain friends or family, then those are the people that you really want to consider letting go of. The thing is this: when somebody says that they care about you, they love you, hey, you're my friend, you're my best friend, you're my favorite cousin, or whomever it is, family member, friend, boyfriend, girlfriend, parent, sibling, if you bring something to their attention and you tell them, hey, when you said or did this, or when you didn't say or do this, and I felt like you should have, that hurt me. That made me feel disappointed. That broke my heart. When you say that to them, and when you explain yourself to them, they should be willing to hear you out, talk about it, and if you've come to the conclusion that, yeah, you know, what happened was wrong, they should be willing to acknowledge it and then also try to find a way to fix the issue. If change is needed within their character, then they should be willing to work toward making that change. And it's the same thing vice versa. If you know, if it was the other way around, okay, it's a two-way relationships are a two-way road. But if somebody's not willing to make the necessary and pure changes that needs to be made in order to make sure that you guys can keep your relationship going, then that's a huge red flag. You know, if somebody's who's not willing to acknowledge your feelings and make sure that they don't hurt you again, make sure that they don't disappoint you again, and you've discussed things that are very valid, you know, like if somebody's continuing to, you know, tell somebody else your business because, oh, that's just my other best friend, they're not going to tell. If you express to them, hey, what I share with you is, you know, it's in the privacy, you know, it's between us, and they continue to tell that other friend your business because it's their best friend and they trust them, you know, you have a right to say, well, that's not my best friend and I don't trust them. And that friend should respect how you feel, and they should care how you feel. If they don't care how you feel and they don't do anything to change that toxic behavior, then they're not your friend. There are certain things that are workable. If they had acknowledged it and said, you know what, hey, I did tell them I'm sorry, I'm just so used to sharing with them, and they actually made the change and they stopped sharing what you share with their other friend, then you can probably work through things depending on what it is that they told, and it's up to you. But if they don't do anything to change it and they just continue to tell your business to their other friend, then guess what? They don't care enough about you to keep you in their life. So it's time to let them go. So there's the list. That is all I have for you in this list today, but I do want to end this with a word of encouragement. Please know that when somebody takes their pain and their traumas and their hurts and their insecurities and their jealousy and their envy out on you, it's not your fault. Never blame yourself for the actions of others. Never blame yourself for what somebody else chooses to do and their free will chooses to do to you. If you need to seek help, don't be ashamed of that. If you need to go to a therapist, find you a good therapist. And I have to say this, but if you are a Christian, it is good that you go to a therapist who isn't anti-Christian and who isn't going to speak against your Christianity, because it is very important, and I have to say that as a Christian. But don't ever be afraid to go see a counselor. If somebody is hurting you, kids, teens, I don't care about this whole snitches get stitches and, you know, you're a tattletale thing. There are safe ways that you can tell somebody, but never, ever, ever suffer in silence. Because of the things that I've gone through for the past year, a little over a year, and I'm getting emotional, I've been having something called situational anxiety attacks. And it's always good to talk to somebody. But never suffer in silence, and just know that God is always there for you. Excuse me, my throat is like dry. But prayer does work. And the reason why my eyes have been open to some of the things that my eyes were closed to is because I prayed. And God answered my prayers, and He exposed so much to me and gave me so much understanding. So just know that I love you. I don't know you, but just with who I am and, you know, the heart that God gave me as a Christian, I love you guys. And I hope that this video helps you and understand that none of the things that you go through are in vain. Just like I'm standing here and I'm talking to you guys, there's a purpose for everything. And flip that negativity and turn it into something positive. And now take your experiences and go help somebody else out. Go encourage somebody else. Go uplift them. Let them know if you've already come out of certain situations. Let them know how you did it. You know, whatever you're comfortable with doing, no pressure, but just know that none of it is in vain. My situations aren't in vain, and neither are yours. So that's it. That's all. Let's do a happy dance. Let's all smile. Let's all clap. Let's rejoice, because life is going to get better because we recognize the toxicity, and now we are going to cleanse our lives, right? So happy dance. Happy dance. Happy dance. Toxic free. Toxic free. Happy dance. So until next time, as always, whatever you do, do all things in love and gracefully. Bye.